The cold comes early in November, settling over the house like a heavy blanket you can't quite shake off. You wake to frost on the inside of your bedroom window, delicate ferns of ice tracing patterns across the glass, beautiful and unforgiving. Your breath makes small clouds in the air. The floor is so cold it hurts your bare feet, so you pull on socks before you even get out of bed, thick wool ones that your grandmother knitted, and you move quickly down the hallway toward the one warm room in the house, the kitchen. That's where the heat lives in the morning. Your mother is already there, standing near the stove where the oven door hangs open, radiating warmth into the small space. She's making oatmeal, stirring the pot with a wooden spoon, and you slide into the chair closest to the heat, holding your hands out toward the oven like you're warming them at a campfire. Your father comes in, newspaper tucked under his arm, and pours coffee from the percolator on the stovetop. Steam rises from his cup. Nobody talks much yet. You're all just trying to get warm. This is winter before central heating, or at least before every room had it. Some houses have radiators that clang and hiss, but only heat certain rooms. Some have a coal furnace in the basement that sends warmth up through grates in the floor, but the heat rises and pools near the ceiling while your feet stay cold. Some have nothing but a fireplace in the living room and a kerosene heater that gets moved from room to room, like a guest that's never quite welcome but always needed. Your house has something in between, enough heat to survive, not enough to be comfortable everywhere. So you learn to migrate. You learn where the warm spots are, and you claim them. The chair nearest the fireplace, the section of couch directly above the floor vent, the kitchen in the morning, the living room in the evening. You wear layers, sweaters over shirts, over undershirts, 2 pairs of socks, slippers that are really just felt pouches for your feet. You learn to move quickly through cold spaces and linger in warm ones. You learn that winter is something you negotiate with, not something you conquer. By 4:30 in the afternoon, the light is already failing. The sky goes from pale gray to deep blue to black in what feels like minutes. You come home from school in darkness, your breath visible in the porch light, your fingers stiff inside your mittens. Inside, your mother has already started preparing for the evening. The fireplace is laid with kindling and logs ready to be lit. Candles are placed on the mantel, on the dining table, on the bookshelf, not for decoration, but because the electricity is expensive and the light is harsh, and somehow candles make the cold feel less oppressive. Your father comes home, and the first thing he does is light the fire. You watch him crouch in front of the hearth, striking a match, holding it to the crumpled newspaper beneath the kindling until it catches. The flames are small at first, tentative. Then they grow, licking up around the wood, and soon there's a proper fire going, crackling and popping, sending sparks up the chimney. The smell of wood smoke fills the room, pine or oak or whatever your father could get cheap at the lumberyard. It's a smell that means safety, that means warmth, that means the evening has officially begun. You pull a chair close to the fire, as close as you can stand without singeing your clothes, and you feel the heat on your face and chest while your back stays cold. Your mother lights the candles one by one, carrying a taper from flame to flame, and the room transforms. The harsh overhead light stays off. The television stays off. There's just the firelight and the candlelight and the gathering darkness pressing against the windows, and everyone draws close. This is the part of winter that you'll remember most, not the cold itself, but the way the cold made you come together. In summer, people scattered, but winter pulled you inward. It pulled you into smaller spaces, closer quarters, forced proximity that became intimacy without anyone naming it as such. Your sister sits on the floor near the fire with a book, but she's not really reading. She's just holding it, staring at the pages, soaking up the warmth. Your brother sprawls on the couch under a quilt, flipping through a magazine. Your mother settles into her chair with a basket of mending, needle and thread catching the firelight as she works. Your father sits across from her, pipe in hand, smoke curling up toward the ceiling. And you're there too, part of the constellation, close enough to feel each other's presence, even when nobody's talking. The silence is different in winter. It's thicker, more substantial, like something you could lean against. Outside, the world is quiet in a way it never is in summer. Inside, the fire crackles and the house settles with small creaks and groans, adjusting to the cold, and these sounds become a kind of music that marks the passing of time. Someone will eventually break the silence, but not right away. You all need this first stretch of quiet, this decompression from the day. Your father tamps down his pipe and clears his throat, and someone says, "Tell us about the winter when," and your father or your grandfather, if he's visiting, will begin a story.
The stories always start the same way. They start with cold, with winters that were harder, colder, longer than this one, with snow that came up to the windowsills, with ice so thick on the pond you could drive a truck across it. The details might change, but the structure is always the same. We survived harder things than this, and we're surviving this too. Sometimes the stories are about nothing much at all. They're about daily life, about small moments that somehow stuck, about walking to school in the dark, about the smell of your grandmother's kitchen. These stories don't have morals or lessons. They're just memories spoken aloud, passed from one generation to the next, kept alive by the telling. You listen, and in listening, you learn how to be still. You learn how to sit with boredom without needing to fix it. You learn that entertainment doesn't always come from outside, from a screen or a toy or an event, but can come from inside, from the stories people carry. Sometimes there are no stories. Sometimes you play games instead. Card games at the dining table under candlelight, the cards soft and worn from years of handling, gin rummy, canasta, hearts. Your father keeps score on a pad of paper with a pencil he sharpens with his pocket knife. Your mother shuffles the cards with quick, efficient movements, the sound of the shuffle of familiar rhythm. Or you play checkers, the board set up on the coffee table, the pieces black and red discs that click when you move them. Or you work on a jigsaw puzzle, dumped onto the table in a jumbled heap, working on it over the course of weeks until gradually the image emerges from chaos.
The evenings stretch long. Without television to mark time, or with the television off to save on electricity, you lose track of how late it is. 8 o'clock feels like 10. 9 o'clock feels like midnight. The candles burn down, wax pooling in their holders. The fire needs tending. Your father adds another log, pokes at the embers with an iron rod, sends sparks spiraling up the chimney. Your mother gets up to make tea, boiling water on the stove, the kettle whistling in the kitchen. She brings back mugs for everyone, and you wrap your hands around the warm ceramic, letting the heat seep into your palms. There's a particular quality to the light in these evenings, soft and golden and imperfect. Shadows pool in the corners, faces are half illuminated, features softened by the gentle glow. The candlelight makes everyone look younger, kinder, more beautiful. It hides the lines on your mother's face, the gray in your father's hair. It makes your siblings look less annoying, more like co-conspirators in this nightly ritual of staying warm. Sometimes neighbors stop by. Not often, it's too cold for casual visiting, but occasionally. They knock and come in quickly, stamping snow off their boots in the entryway, bringing a blast of cold air that makes everyone near the door shiver. They sit for a while, talk about the weather, and then they leave, bundling back into their coat and scarf, and the house feels even warmer after they've gone. The evenings end slowly. There's no abrupt transition from activity to sleep. Instead, people drift off one by one. Your mother banks the fire, pushing the logs together so they'll burn slow and steady through the night. Your father blows out the candles one by one, leaving just one burning to light the way to bed. You linger as long as you can, not wanting to leave the warmth, knowing that your bedroom will be cold, that the sheets will feel like ice until your body heat warms them. When you finally go, you move quickly through the dark house, guided by the last candle, and you dive into bed fully clothed in your warmest pajamas. You curl into a ball, knees to chest, and wait for the warmth to come. And eventually, it does. Winter nights teach you things that summer never could. They teach you patience. They teach you gratitude for small comforts. They teach you the value of proximity, of being close to others, not because you chose them, but because the cold demanded it. And in that forced closeness, you discover something surprising, that you like being together, that the stories and the games and the long stretches of comfortable silence are enough. Today, you turn a dial on the wall, and the whole house warms to exactly the temperature you want. Every room is the same. You're never cold unless you choose to be, and you're never forced into proximity with others. You have more comfort, more control, more privacy. But something was lost in that gaining. The winter evenings of your childhood were shaped by limitation, limited heat, limited light, limited entertainment. And within those limitations, you found richness. You found the pleasure of being still, of being bored, of being together without needing a reason beyond the simple fact of warmth. You can't recreate those evenings now. The world has changed too much. But you can carry something forward. You can remember that winter evenings once had weight, had texture, had meaning beyond just time to be filled. You can choose, even now, to create evenings that have some of that quality, to light candles not because you need them, but because they change the light, to tell stories not because anyone asked, but because stories are how we remember who we are. The fire has long gone out. The candles have burned down to stubs. The people who sat around that hearth are older now or gone, but the memory remains, warm and flickering and impossibly tender. You remember the weight of quilts, the smell of wood smoke, the sound of your father's voice telling a story you'd heard a dozen times before. Winter evenings taught you how to be human in a way that's hard to learn now. They taught you how to be still, how to be patient, how to be present. And most of all, they taught you that the best warmth comes not from the fire itself, but from the people gathered around it, sharing light and time, and the small miracle of being together while winter rages on outside.